Welcome in to this edition of Above Sea Level. I'm Wayne Viener. That's Shane Gossert. This is also sometimes known as the Shane and Wayne Show. Today we're here to talk about MSPs, or Managed Service Providers, and ETM, Enterprise Technology Management, and how they relate, compare, and contrast, and really how VienerX became an Enterprise Technology Manager along with being an MSP. And Shane, you've dealt with tech support for a long time. You've been in this industry a long time. What's your just general take on what tech support seems like?
It's generally reactive. You open up a trouble ticket, company gets back to you hopefully same day, sometimes longer. Really depends, mixed bag, but it's all reactive.
Yeah. And we would like to be, and often are, more proactive, because we're looking to actually change the way things work, make things better, and actually get to the root cause of what the issues are. When I got started in this back in 1991, this bucket of services was known as Management Advisory Services. So when I got started, we had an MAS firm. And that was way different than just doing tech support or just doing accounting or just doing software. It brought those elements together. And that was a revolutionary thing and put us at the top of that pile. But things changed. It just became known as tech support. You were either a systems guy, and then the term managed service provider came out. And boy, everybody wanted to be an MSP. And just by definition, we already were. We managed the services. We managed your Microsoft, your Great Plains, your NCR Counterpoint, how many licenses you had, what kind of firewall you had. Generally, we took care of all of that. And then as time went by, the idea of being a CIO, the Chief Information Officer, was brought up. And this is 15 years ago to us, where we took steps. I became a CIO level executive and helped companies through that, which started to blend the business plan with an IT plan. And that was pretty cool. We built on that, and you have that skill set, and Mason has that skill set, and Arthur has that, and Al has that, and you start to count, and there's multiple C-level, CIO level people here. And we just added that in to what we're doing as an MSP. And customers like that. Especially larger customers that actually have strategies, that have like larger business goals where IT really shapes that, needed those services. So we just added that into the MSP. And we turned around and looked around and said, wow, we actually have made it to enterprise technology management because the top people at our company that lead our charge into the marketplace are C-level executives. And you can hear that and find that in the systems that we set up, that they're made based on a business plan. And there's nothing wrong with being an MSP. And there's different kinds. I think we talked about this. You could be an MSP that delivers any one single service. Well, for example, you could do a backup and restore or business continuity, and that's the only thing that you do. But because it's a managed service and somebody pays you every month for that, well, you're a managed service provider for that. You could be a managed service provider for many other things in IT. When I talk about managed service provider and turning that into enterprise technology management, I'm talking about the entire stack. So you can, and I'll have Jordan put the slide up in the background here where it says managed service provider and then aligns that with ETM. And you're right that the managed service provider in a nature is a reactive. There's a ticket and we close the ticket. And we like being really good at that, and you want that to be a high number, but that can't be it. You look across and you see ETM, and ETM says that you want to look at the whole system, find the root cause of the problem, and make sure that problem doesn't exist any longer. You go down one on the MSP side, and it says not really part of a strategy. And then you look over an ETM, and it says dedicated to building a strategy, dedicated to having an IT plan that matches a business plan. That, I think, is one of the key differentiators. And as you keep going, you see more sort of single services, whereas the ETM builds into being a CIO and being holistic for all that. In your experience, and you've been here for a while, but you've certainly been in the industry a lot longer, why does it matter that we're looking at a business plan and making a technology plan rather than just saying, here are the services we provide?
Well, it matters because our customers want more out of us, right? And not all customers. We have customers we just do break fix or help desk for, and they use us for our traditional MSP functions. But you have other customers that really want to align with us at the CIO level. And if we can align with their business plan, their brand strategy, get outside of just the IT function and start working with marketing, start working with finance, and figuring out what those different deliverables need to be. That is an ETM level solution.
Right. And as you've done that, you came to me with the idea that if you really push this, when you look at an overall budget and a customer needs one more thing but they don't have budget for it, you're like, hey, we can use these concepts to free up budget so that you can get one more project in. How have you done that?
We start with a basic audit. We look at what they have today, what different softwares they have, what licensing. It could be a VoIP solution. It could be network, right? We know the industry. We know the landscape. We know the players. We talk to them. We see where we can maybe negotiate new rates. If it's out of term, that's very easy to do. But sometimes while they're in term, you can also renegotiate. So there's certain things that can be done to free up capital to be used on other projects. And that's really a function of an ETM.
And when you mentioned network and VoIP, you were talking to somebody who might not be into this as internet and their actual phone system?
Correct. Yeah, your internet and your voice over IP or your phone service. Right.
Right. That's been effective, and you've been able to save. You've made yourself into a hero a couple times because there was cost savings out there.
Yeah, well, you go into a customer, and a lot of customers don't think they have budget for something, right? When you're able to move things around, free up some capital, you do come out looking like a hero. At the end of the day, that's what we want to do for our customers.
Right. And so that's sort of the theory of what we're doing here and how we've morphed into something more by adding the CEO level services and looking at the MSP delivery a little different, even to the part of having a services delivery manager that makes sure that those services line up and they're used in the appropriate fashion across our customer base. And we're going to talk to Mason in a moment about how that actually applies to the customers in the field. Mason, have a little different take on this from the operations side than we do from the straight management side. So we'll be back with Mason in a moment.
Welcome back to Above Sea Level. I'm Shane, and this is Mason. Mason's going to be joining us to talk a little bit more on the operational side of ETM. Now, Mason, from your perspective as a leader operationally, what have you seen difference between MSP, ETM? What has your experience been?
Yes, Shane, thanks for having me, and it's good to be on Above Sea Level. Done a lot of podcasts, done a lot of talks on this, and this is actually a topic that comes up pretty regularly, maybe with different terms depending on who's in the room, of really what is the role of IT? Is it kind of the break fix guy whose just job is keep the lights on, so to speak, keep everything moving? That's more your kind of MSP mindset where they set in. And we haven't quite addressed on this show yet the entire security and network security piece of it. But I feel like operationally, the job of the MSP, unfortunately for a lot of people, is what's in the contract. And that's just the way the industry's gone.
Right.
I was talking to a colleague of ours that really runs a true MSP model, and they were saying, we got customers, they have a 4-day SLA, 3 days and 23 hours and 58 minutes and 59 seconds. We're picking up the phone and calling them because that's what they pay for. And when you move into the ETM piece of it, you move into that, you're that one step further. You're in the room. You're one of the decision makers. You're running a team that's either a staff augmented team, or you're using your own help desk resources or the customer's help desk resources. And you change your focus onto, okay, what do my employees need? What does my team need? What do my departmental partners need for their teams to be successful, for the business to win? Because that's that difference when we talk about it.
Yeah.
Is I'm invested now that step further into the business that we're working for, into that client that we're working for. I'm not just saying reading the contract and looking at my cost per ticket closed number or whatever KPO we're looking at trying to achieve and saying how can we run this thing down to the bone of being the most profitable. But we look at it as how can we make our partner successful? Because when they're successful, they grow. When they grow, they frankly pay us more money from an operational side of it. There's more opportunity there. There's better opportunity. And those are kind of the two differences.
That's great. So you've seen an evolution with Viener.
Yeah.
VienerX, since 1991, founded here in Rockville, Maryland. You've been doing ETM-esque services for quite a while, way before that was ever a term. Obviously, we've decided to now productize that because it's what we've been doing for our customers. We don't do it for all customers, right? A lot of customers might just want break fix or help desk. But now you've added this extra layer that really aligns with their business plan, their different strategies, different departmentally. What is the value to an enterprise today partnered with an ETM over, say, a traditional MSP, which we do traditional MSP services with ETM layered on top? But what from your perspective, would be the big difference?
Yeah, I think the value is the people that are guiding you, the technology Sherpa, if you will, really knows what's going on inside the business, right? Inside the four walls, inside the boardroom, depending on their involvement. And it doesn't really have to be somebody that's, there every single day in every single meeting. We do that, I do that, but there's just an ability to call somebody that's been that partner. It's the same person, same face, that has the background of a technology company where there are different ideas. There are conflicting opinions inside this office that we're shooting this in, and different ideas of how to get similar goals accomplished. But you get that almost advantage of like the fractional piece that we talk about so much. Here we discuss technology. There's a room full of technology people here. There's different start points in it. There's different end points in it. There's, Wayne who's been here, working on tech since the 80s. There's you, Shane, that got in on like the CLAC side and has seen the solutions architect piece, built a, company that's national from kind of an early stage to where it is, close to now. And you've done that multiple times over. And you get that advisor, but it's not only that person that's there. It's everybody that's around them that pours information into them. And I can always turn to you and say, hey, these guys are having a voice problem. Hey, they need a contact center that works. Well, me, who's been doing this now 10 years in, you who's been doing it 20-something years in, and been specialized in that, we're together. Now, if I were an internal CIO or just an MSP guy that's, closing tickets and working on printers, I don't have that. Our company wouldn't be built for that. But we've always taken the approach, when you talked about like the history of VienerX, of being an expert in what we do and then surrounding ourselves with experts that have different backgrounds, people that have different backgrounds. That just allows you to put the right person on the customer, serve the customer better, and then get them the business results they're looking for, because you have the people. You can always pick up the phone and call the people that really are the experts. They're on the leading edge, or they're on the implementation side of what you're trying to do. So Shane, looking at it from that perspective, you worked on the channel side and the sales side of the VoIP and the CCAS and the UCAS piece of IT. Kind of what did the difference look like when you were working with somebody who was embedded as that CIO, that ETM kind of relationship, compared to either just an agent or an MSP?
Yeah, I'd have to say, if somebody comes to me when I was sitting in that role and they came to me with a quote request, real easy for me to respond with a price and give them apples to apples what they've asked for. I've had people deliver RFPs that have a lot more information in there, and it doesn't have to be an RFP, right? You have partners that will bring you that same scope of work, and they're not going to put it out to RFP for a million different companies to respond to. But basically, the type of content that's in an RFP, you've got the whole tech stack, you've got all of the plans in there, what they're going to be used for, when they're going to do it, who, what, when, and where. All of that is contained in there, versus give me a quote for 200 VoIP seats and an internet connection. There's a massive difference between the two. I can tell you the sales cycle is going to be a lot longer on the just give me the quote. Now you got a lot of work to do to get that thing closed. When you're working with an ETM or an MSP or somebody that is putting that amount of work, it could be a tech advisor that's putting that amount of detail in there and really has a full grasp on the 36-month journey for that customer, what their needs are going to be in the next 12 months specifically, it makes it a lot easier. At that point, you're basically asking for a signature because you have it all scoped out, you've done your demonstrations, it's exactly what they need. You can look at the other hand where you've made a lot of assumptions, the customer doesn't know. In that case, it's potentially an MSP that doesn't have a full grasp on how the technology works. You're going to put out a half-baked solution sometimes. That's a big difference for me. Thank you guys for tuning in today. It was an impactful conversation with Mason. We had Wayne on here earlier, And please continue to tune in for future Above Sea Level podcast. Mason,